Hi friends! We're here today on Wednesdays with Whitney. Welcome, and this is my very good friend Meghan O'Brien. She also happens to be my realtor, which is the reason that we're here today. So, big announcement, I bought a house. Yay! And we are sitting on its front steps. We're not going in the house today, and we're not getting a full tour.
Today's not the day.
Today's not the day, guys. I packed and moved in yesterday, and it's just a sea of boxes. So, but you will be getting sneak peeks of that soon. So, Meghan and I met when?
Well, I think it's been
year and a half.
I want to say it's closer to 3 years ago.
Two,
right? When you got back.
Yep.
That is right.
Yep.
You had taken Andrea Woodard's photos, and we love Andrea.
Hi, Andrea!
And I was so blown away by how you had captured the essence of her. I mean, it's sometimes you see photographs and you're like, oh, there's a photo of my friend, she looks pretty, but it made me stop in my tracks because it was like her entire essence and everything that I love about her in a photo. And so I reached out to you to say, would you take my photo? Could we grab coffee? Can you tell me how this process works?
And I have to tell you, at this point in my career and evolution in Des Moines, people were not just reaching out to me. There weren't just strangers like, hey, what are you doing? Can I work with you? I was really still at that point where I was doing all the reaching, where I was looking, still asking for all the coffee dates. And when Meghan reached out to me, I was like, me? You want to meet with me? And so you were really one of the very first people who said, you are worthwhile, like out loud, like you sought me out and said, you are doing what I want to see.
Yeah,
and I was like,
exactly.
Oh my gosh. And so I remember you coming into the studio, and you were one of my very first shoots in my Walnut Street studio. Yeah. I don't even think I had furniture when...
Just the acrylic chair.
I think I had one chair. So now I have 6 of those chairs. I think I probably had the chair and the wall.
Yep.
Did I even have a wall?
You had a wall.
I had a wall. Okay, that was the first thing I built there. So Meghan, I mean, I've shot Meghan several times at this point. But that was really one of the first shoots in the studio. And we've just been friends since then, talking through. And you transitioned to real estate about the same time I moved back. What's that background? Tell me.
So I had purchased a home right as I was going through some transitions in my prior employment. And I purchased a home. I didn't know my agent. I did not enjoy the experience. And having spent, 5 years as a lender, I knew enough about the process to know that my experience wasn't what it should be. And my husband was like, honey, don't just watch HGTV. Why don't you go help people?
Go be HGTV.
You could really help people with the process, and people deserve that. So with some urging, I got my real estate license and back into the industry. So right around the time that you came to Des Moines.
Well, because I think I was doing your headshots for that transition, or maybe you had something.
I'd had some, but I wasn't happy because I didn't feel like they captured me as me. It just
There's
felt...
one, I'll post it, but she's like, it's just so sassy. Do you know which one I'm
I
talking
do,
about?
because you told me to poof my hair, and then you were like, oh, maybe a little less poof.
A little less poof. It was an aggressive poof the first time.
I was an aggressive poofer.
Oh, God. That's going to go down.
The word was poof.
Yeah,
poof.
just so
I'm an aggressive poofer.
We're clear about that. So, this whole house buying thing was kind of a surprise to me personally, which is not something a homeowner usually says. But our studio has been growing, so I now have 2 people that come and work with me every day. If any of you have been in my studio, you know that workspace is 2 desks behind a fold-out curtain, and there's just not a lot of space for 3 humans plus a dog plus anybody who happens to be visiting us. And as much as I love my Walnut Street studio, it had started to feel really, really small. So I just started Zillowing, as we do. Who doesn't do that? Don't you, even if you own a home, don't you just go on Zillow to see what's up? So I was Zillowing, and I saw, it was the very first day that this house came on the market, and I saw it and I was like, stop. And I'd been looking at houses, I'd been looking all over the place, and I saw this house, and it's, as you can see behind us, the little sneak peek you're getting, it's ivory. I mean, it's probably white, but like, it's ivory for these purposes. And I was looking at the photos online, and the windows were all brand new, and there was all of this beautiful light, and I was like, well, hold the phone. So
and
I
you called me, and I remember being shocked and then also nervous that you'd be disappointed, because one thing about real estate photography, I've shown houses where it looks amazing online, and then I show up and I think I'm at the wrong house. And I'm wondering, like, did I get the street wrong? And then you go in, you're like, nope, this is the house.
No, this is the house.
So in the same way that she is a phenomenal photographer that brings out the best, sometimes real estate photographers make a house look better. So I was a little apprehensive, you know, excited for you, but also like, please represent the way you do online.
Well, and I saw the house on a Saturday, and then I called Meghan literally right away when I saw it online and said, I think that this is a house that I could live in as well as my business. And then we came and saw it Sunday morning.
And it was snowing.
It was snowing. It was that April, guys, the April Sunday that it was snowing. There's been a lot of freak weather in the story of this house, so we'll get to that. So snowing in April, and I walked in and I was like, so this is my house? I don't even know how to make that happen. But as I go through this process, guys, I'm going to be sharing with you. So I personally moved in yesterday. So it's a hot mess in there right now. But like so all my personal stuff that I barely saw really when I had my studio one place and my home in another is now I'm living with it. I woke up in my house for the first time this morning. I was so thankful to have electricity, because that was a question because of the storm last night. We'll get there. So let's talk about this process of buying a house, because I had no idea how much there was to that.
Right. And you did it differently.
Did I?
Because
I do most things differently.
I know, and it of no surprise. You know, typically someone would get pre-approved and make a list of what they want in a house.
Yeah, no, didn't do that either.
And their lender and I would work together to make sure we could make the scenario. Nope, that didn't happen either. But the rest of the process went the way that it normally does. Yeah. It just, your beginning was unique.
My beginning was just like shotgun. Okay, here we go. Found the house, make an offer. And I don't know, I just feel like everything with this house got aligned so that I could have it. And I remember walking in with you, and my mom was there, and we're walking through, and I'm just looking at everyone, and I'm like, am I crazy to think that this is it?
Well, it's not. So typically, and it ranges, I would say my typical buyer sees 4 or 5 houses. And again, Whitney's not typical in anything she does, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that first showing, I will say, we spent more time in the space than we typically would, because, you know, people come in and a lot of times they get distracted by the cabinets and the flooring, and if the home is decorated, they're like, oh, I love the decorations. This was such a great showing experience because it had to work for you personally. Yeah. And it absolutely had to work for your business.
That was my top priority.
Space was even more important for you than an average home buyer.
And windows and light. When I walked in, so this house has 2 master bedrooms, which is awesome. So I have a master upstairs that I get to sleep in. Oh my gosh, I get to like be in a house for more than 8 hours at a time.
It's pretty great.
It's gonna be so cool. And then the downstairs master is perfect. It's got these huge south-facing windows. There's a bathroom right off of it. And I walked in, I brought my camera, of course. Not to take pictures of the space, of course, but to take pictures of whoever was with me in that space. My mom. Yeah. So I have my first photos of my mom in the space, because she's, you know, always the first in any space. And it was like, this is it. Like, this is gonna work. And what I really loved was that there's no direct light at any point in the day.
Right.
So for me, I was like, okay, and where do I sign? How does this work?
Well, and the great thing about that experience was, you know, having a chance to talk to you about the business, but while you were photographing your mom, I was in the basement looking at the foundation, checking the age of the water heater, looking at all the things that could have made it not your dream space.
Right. Well, and I think that is what I've been really fortunate in, is that I have a team of people on my side that I tend to be very whimsical, and I choose I tend to see the beautiful parts of things, and I'm like, if it's a problem, I'll deal with it later. But you can't do that with a house, comes to find out.
Well, you can, but it usually doesn't end well. So
it usually happens immediately and not later.
So before you even wrote the offer, we had a really good idea that there wasn't anything scary, significant, and then we still had a home inspection to make sure.
And my home inspection, so the people who have owned this home, the people who really built this home up, they were carpenters. He was a policeman and he was a carpenter. So it has all of these beautiful signs of being well taken care of. And then the people that owned it right before me were electricians. He was an electrician.
It's been meticulously maintained. It is incredibly rare in Des Moines, in this price range, to find a house that has that kind of love and pride of ownership. And it's part of what made me not show you that day, but I was so excited for you. I could have bound out of here cheering and
I think I did.
Skipping my heels. But as a professional, my job is to make sure that we don't fall in love until we gave you the keys.
Well, and I called you, we made the offer, I think, 10 o'clock that night. And then we were talking on the phone and I was like, is this really happening? Like, I don't know how excited I should be. Like, is this going to happen for me? And then there was a point where it became very clear that it was going to happen for me, and I was like, oh, like that.
It's a normal feeling. It's a normal feeling.
Yeah, because we hadn't really gone through like the things that you normally do beforehand. So just lots of interesting things. We did a lot in 1 month to get this happening.
Yep, and there were a lot of great people. Your home inspector, Matt Nyberg, he's excellent.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
And my favorite thing is, I mean, he and I see houses all the time.
Yeah.
So when he comes to a house and says out loud, this place is really cool and in amazing shape, that's a huge compliment.
We'll just go with that.
When a house is mom and dad approved and home inspector approved, it's a winner.
Good. And so I've had the good fortune to have Meghan on my side, but I've also had my inspector, my mom, I've had several friends come out and look at it, because if I'm going to buy a home, it's going to be a community space. So I needed something that my employees were going to feel really comfortable in, that I knew my clients would feel really comfortable coming to. Some of the advantages of this space, as I see it, is that I have a driveway. So you can just I have parking that you don't have to pay for. Oh, and I don't know if I've said this. My home's on the south side, so it's actually, I drove from my studio today and it took me 4 minutes.
It's so convenient.
It's 4 minutes from downtown. So I think that was the best part.
And honestly, I think it helped having been photographed by you multiple times and in different settings. I mean, you photographed me by myself, you photographed my team. It helped as a client of yours to know what to look for. So that setup for filming with the full bathroom and a huge closet, when you're changing clothes in between photos, I mean, your clients are going to feel so comfortable here.
I'm so excited about it. So as we progress in this journey, I've got to tell this story. So yesterday, we've got a big truck coming. Hang on. Pausing.
Maybe they're here to get your cheese.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? So all Memorial Day weekend, I just was like packing and sweating and packing and sweat. That was literally all I did for 4 days, because apparently I have a lot of stuff. And this is just my home, ladies and gentlemen. Ivory House is still at Walnut Street for the foreseeable future as we get this place ready. But I was packing all my personal stuff, and then yesterday, 2 men in a truck showed up. They've moved me so many times at this point, it's kind of a comedy. So they show up at 8:30, and they're still moving me. We get done right at 6, moving me finally into this house. And there's just a lot of stairs involved with everything that happened yesterday. And as soon as they closed the door and I was about to sign all the paperwork, that's when, what are they called, these winds?
Straight line winds?
Straight line winds. I should know that, but I don't. So all these straight line winds and all that rain happened literally as I finished moving. So my movers are still here. I'm freaking out because I have these huge trees in my backyard that are not going anywhere. They are big and beautiful and old. But I'm like, oh my gosh, my first night in this house, I didn't have electricity. Because that's what happened on the south side. I mean, you were all watching the news. So my electricity finally came on at 11:30. And then I woke up this morning and came out at 6. And was like, I'm a homeowner. I have to go out and like pick up all these branches.
Right. I have tree limbs.
I have
This is
tree
new.
limbs that I need to deal with, but it's still like I woke up this morning and even with like the exhaustion of moving yesterday, my house sits up on a hill, so I woke up like basically in a tree house with the sun rising, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm thrilled.
It's lovely.
So, is there anything that any new homeowner advice you want to give to me here on live Facebook?
Well, I think you just have to take things in stride, honestly, because when you know you're buying a good house and you've had a good realtor and all the steps are done and the I's are dotted and the T's crossed, and you and I talked about this quite a bit. There are things that come up.
Yes.
It's not like you get your dream home and
nothing ever
Cinderella
happens.
shows up with the fairy godmother and blesses the house and you never have an issue. So, I mean, there are maintenance things, and I think it's interesting that you woke up on that first day and you have a positive attitude, because I think for some people, they're like, oh my Lord, I don't feel equipped for this. So I get a lot of clients calling me after something like this, saying, what do I do?
Yeah.
So.
And what you do is you just do it.
You pick up the branches.
You pick up the
and
branches.
then in months that end with R,
yeah.
you trim your bushes and trees so that and now I'm giving you
months
some
that end in R.
Yes.
I like it. Okay.
In months that end with R, you keep those trimmed so that when you get big storms, the dead branches are gone.
Huh.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
you know. Same,
There we go.
just like when you're supposed to get oysters.
Okay.
Same months for tree trimming.
I love it. Well, there's going to be a lot of transformations happening around here. I am not an interior decorator, but there will be some updates happening. I will keep you guys posted on that. You'll get a more inclusive look at this space as we go on. I'm just really excited, and I can't wait to show you guys my new home. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.